We are keeping the train moving right along here on the Flex Zone podcast, your home for professional sports, the NFL, and of course, the MLB, NBA, professional wrestling, giving it to you how you want it when you need it. God's favorite host back again as we are moving through our latest series of videos, getting you ready, getting you hyped up for the 2025 NFL season. We're breaking down each team's schedule, giving you my win-loss predictions, the team outlook, and how do I see the season playing out. Make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, hit that bell, leave a comment. I promise, I haven't got to your team by now. We're almost at the end. It's on the way. And we're going to take a stop in Indy, home of the Eastern Conference champion Indiana Pacers, and home to the Indianapolis Colts in the beautiful Lucas Oil Stadium. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell, comment down below. Shout out to our Flex Zone family member Mark, Colts fan, rooting for a good season for you. Now, do I see a good season for your Colts? I don't know. We'll see how I see the schedule playing out and how I see potentially what could happen with this franchise. But looking at the team, you have Anthony Richardson at quarterback. Is he the guy? That is going to be the question this season is depending on, I don't think he's the guy, but we will find out. Daniel Jones was bought, and I think we will see Daniel Jones start multiple games. He even drafted Riley Leonard. I think that will pay dividends because I think he will have to play at some point, maybe even later in the season. When you look at the running back position, it gets no better than Jonathan Taylor. He is a stud. Just keep giving him the ball. They need to run the football effectively, and hopefully they do that. They even got Khalil Herbert, so a good backup. Michael Pittman Jr., the best kept secret at the wide receiver position. They have some pieces on offense. Alec Pierce, a good wide receiver. Josh Downs does a good job. Bringing in Tyler Warren in the first round, my favorite tight end in this draft, I think is a wonderful piece that just fits the Colts. You think about Dallas Clark, and some of the great tight ends in Colts history. He could be that new Dallas Clark S type. Now, the offensive line, I don't have a lot of faith in outside of Quentin Nelson, the Hall of Famer, to be the trajectory he's on at left guard. Braden Smith, Matt Conglaze, Tanner Bortonle, Bernard Ryman. Yeah, I don't see much there on the O-line. That is going to be their problem. Not only do they have lackluster quarterback play, but they have lackluster offensive line outside of one position. Like I said, Tyler Warren, Mo Alley Cox, Josh Downs, Alex Pierce, Michael Pittman Jr., Jonathan Taylor. That's a good start, Khalil Herbert, of offensive weapons. The offensive line is going to be the issue in the quarterback play. Now, their defense is usually pretty solid and really, really good. Quiddy Pay, I liked out of Michigan. Grover Stewart, an underrated lineman. DeForest Buckner, one of the best players at his position. Latu, I think is going to have a big breakout season. Zaire Franklin, the best tackling linebacker maybe in the NFL. Jalen Jones, an underrated corner. Nick Cross out of Maryland. Cam Bynum, underrated. Charvarius Ward, signing him was a good pickup. And Kenny Moore, one of the best nickel corners in the league. I think he's one of the highest paid, if he's not the highest paid. The defense, like I talked about another team in that division, the Titans. The Titans had the number one defense last year. The Colts, I think, are a perennial top 10 defense also. I think you look at even the Texans in this division, they have potentially three top 10 to 15 defenses in their division. Titans, with their secondary, they just don't have consistent pass rush. And I think the Colts have a good mix of pass rush, run stuffers, and even secondary. So they may even have a better defense than the Titans. And I think the Texans under our boy D'Amico Ryans have a really, really good defense all around as well. So the Colts defense will keep them in a lot of games, but I think the lackluster quarterback play is what's going to doom them. Let's get into the schedule here and let's break it down together as only we can here. They start out week one against Miami. I think week one is a weird week. We may see this team be able to steal a victory against Miami. I'm not high on Miami. I think that the Colts win. 1 p.m. game. Then they host Denver. I think that is a loss. They will be 1-1. Then they go on the road for their first divisional game. That will be a loss, 1-2. Then you go to the Rams. I think that's a loss, 1-3. You host the Raiders. I think that is also a loss, 1-4. Then you host Arizona. I don't see you beating Arizona, 1-5. Then you go to the Chargers, 1-6. You host Tennessee. I think you could win that, 2-6. Then you go to Pittsburgh, 2-7. The Atlanta game's an international game. I'm gonna say you lose that, 2-8. 2-8 going into the bye, week 11 bye. Then you had Kansas City, 2-12. Could you maybe beat Houston at home? I'm gonna say 3-12. At Jacksonville, 3-13. At Seattle, 3-14. Uh versus San Francisco. That is a Monday, December 22nd, Monday night game. That could get ugly. Jacksonville and then at Houston. Wow. Um, let's look at this schedule again. Hold on, because I don't want to be disrespectful. I do think the Colts are probably going to be picking in the top five. I honestly could see, speaking of 2026 top picks in the draft, I could see them in the top 3 to 4, and I could see them taking Drew Aller out of Penn State. It just looks like a hand and glove fit. Plays at Penn State, reminds me of the Colts a little bit. Can run, has some athleticism, has a big arm. This is going to be a big year for him. So look out for him, Colts fans. Drew Aller out of Penn State. I think he would fit the mold. Obviously, we want to send our condolences also to Jim Irsay, who passed away, the current owner of the Colts. But it's going to be intriguing how this team bounces back. Do they play inspired for him as well? But Miami, I say they beat Miami. That is a game they could steal in week 1. Then Denver, that's going to be a defensive struggle. You know what? Could they beat Denver at home? Inside? Still one away, maybe? Catch Denver lacking? I'm going to say they could start 2-0. I'll give them 2 wins right there. Then you go to Tennessee, loss. Go to Los Angeles, loss. Then you go host Vegas. I think that is a loss. Then Arizona, a loss. So 2-4. Then at Los Angeles, 2-5. Could you win against Tennessee 3-5? Then you lose to Pittsburgh 3-6, 3-7 with the loss to Atlanta. At Kansas City 3-8 versus Houston, maybe 4-8. Then at Jacksonville 4-9. At Seattle 4-10 versus San Fran at home. Could you maybe rise up and win that 5-10? Versus Jacksonville, 6-10, and then at Houston, a flex game, 6-11 maybe for the Colts, 6 wins at Houston. That is a flex game that could be for divisional purposes or playoff seeding. We don't know. I think Houston's going to win the division. Spoiler alert, but I have 6 wins. So I think about 6 wins. I think this is going to be a team that is picking in the top 5. Now, with that being said, Colts, you guys may have the best all-around roster to eventually take the division back from Houston. Remember, a couple years ago, they played in Week 17 and Week 18 for the division. They lost the game. It was in Indy. Now, I do like Shane Steichen. I don't want him to get fired after this year. I know they mentioned they were being retained this season, him and the GM as well, but I don't want them to be getting rid of. I know a lot of Colts fans are hard on the ownership, which they rightfully should be, and they were hard on the uh, overall just direction of the franchise. Chris Ballard, that's the GM's name. I had to look it up real quick. Chris Ballard. I think he's an underrated GM. I think he's underrated. I do think he drafts well. They haven't drafted a quarterback well. I didn't like the Anthony Richardson pick, but offensive, defensive linemen, some skilled players that they've drafted have really panned out. Like I said, they got some good players, but and that's the hardest position to draft in sports is quarterback. So we get it, but I'm gonna say 6-11 record wise. Now, Chris Ballard could be gone. Could we also see, like I said, Shane Steichen gone? I know Colts fans may want to see him go, but I like the way they play. The team is well coached and they play better than what they have at quarterback. So I can't fault them. Like I said, if they finish in the top 5, which I think they will in the draft, top 3 potentially, because I think them and the Saints are the 2 maybe bottom feeding teams, along with maybe the Titans in their division, maybe the Browns. Those are like 4 teams right now off the top of my head that seem like teams that'll probably occupy that top 5. But I think there is some talent on these teams, like I said. But Chris Ballard could be gone, as could Shane Steichen. Now, then, if they're looking for a GM, coach, and a quarterback, that could all be a package deal for Colts fans. That could be, like I said, this could be a team that needs to continue to add the pieces around them that they have through the draft and free agency, but they got to get the quarterback position right. And I think if it's a guy like Drew Aller next year, he's going to probably be QB1 going into college football this year. I would take a look at it, and maybe even like I said, he screams cool. Maybe just has that Andrew Luck vibe, that Andrew Luck feeling of like I'm not saying he's gonna be that good, but like he is that blue collar, doesn't have to play in a big market, is gonna work hard, do what he needs to do to help the team win, doesn't have to be the greatest talent. I mean, look at JJ McCarthy in Minnesota, the talent around him. He's not the best quarterback. I think Drew Allen, with the time that he's spending in college to refine and define who he is as a quarterback and mature as a man, I like that. You look at Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, the guys who have stayed for multiple years and played in college football, especially now with the extension of the playoffs and more games, you can get that experience and play better competition as well throughout the season. But I'm going with the 6-11 record for the Colts. Wouldn't be surprised if they're picking in the top 5. next year's draft, they could get, like I said, a Drew Allen or one of these great quarterbacks that are coming up in 2026. Is this the end for Chris Ballard? Is this the end for Shane Steichen? We shall see. Because then, like I said, it could be a package deal. You're undergoing new things in ownership, unfortunately, with the demise of Jim Irsay. But then you could have a new GM, a new head coach, and a new QB1. But some talent is there. Love that Tyler Warren picked. Jonathan Taylor's a stud. Glad he got paid. Defensively, they're pretty consistent and solid. And I think they will continue to do that. They just got to get the quarterback position right. And I think if they can get that right after this season, because I think Daniel Jones, Riley Leonard, and Anthony Richardson will all prove to not be the guy. If they can get this right and get a guy at quarterback in a weaker division, they could be competitive within a year. For Colts fans, be patient. Your basketball team is going to the East Conference Finals. We'll see what happens with the football team right here on the Fix Podcast. Stay tuned for more. We're breaking down each team. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell. Thank you guys for watching.